Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom with our host, Bob Olson, who will now introduce today's show and speaker.
WCAT Radio presents I Thought You'd Like to Know, a program featuring some very interesting people who have a message for you. And tonight we're going to talk about a beautiful picture story of Holy Apostles College and Seminary in Cromwell, Connecticut. And we have two guests. They're the authors of the book, Dr. Cynthia Toolin-Wilson and Robert E. Hubbard. And we'll start with you, Cynthia, and welcome to the program. And tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Like, were you a cradle Catholic?
Thank you. No, I was not a cradle Catholic. I converted at age 38. I was a non-practicing liberal Reformed Jew at the time that I converted.
Interesting. So what was your so you had a Jewish bring up? You were brought up as a Jew then?
Secular Jew, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you happen to come into the Catholic Church?
I had a religious experience in Rome back in 1988.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. My husband and the entire family were in Rome because my mother-in-law had turned 75, and we wanted to take her where she wanted to go. And I was not Catholic at the time, so I went shopping into the museums while they went to do the religious things. And then finally, on the next to the last day, my husband asked me if I would be willing to go on one tour with them. And I told him, sure, I'd be glad to, as long as there's nothing religious on it. So he was able to find one tour that was Rome outside the walls. And I went on that tour in the middle of August, I believe. Very hot, and there was no air conditioning on the bus. So I ended up going into the catacombs when the family went into the catacombs, and I heard a priest talk to some extent about Christianity. I have not really got any idea of what he said, but I did have what I would call almost an automatic conversion. I just knew that where the Catholic Church was, there was truth. And so I went home and entered lessons.
Beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. And how about you, Bob Hubbard? How are you?
Yeah, mine's not as interesting, but I've been a Catholic all my life. I was baptized as a baby in Middletown, Connecticut, St. John's Church, although I don't remember it. And I've been a parishioner in the Diocese of Hartford, or the Archdiocese of Hartford, or Diocese of Norwich for the last 68 years. And I'm a 41-year member of the Knights of Columbus.
Wow, very good. Now, Cynthia, tell us about your work at Holy Apostles.
Well, I'm in my 20th year, and I came here to be a professor of dogmatic and moral theology right after I earned my licentiate at Dominican House of Studies in Washington, D.C. And eventually I was promoted to registrar and then to academic dean of online learning. So I still teach. I teach both here on campus, and I teach online dogmatic and moral courses. And
Bob, you're not associated with Holy Apostles, but you are connected with a university, huh?
Yeah, a college, Albertus Magnus College in New Haven, which is affiliated with the Dominican Order, and I was, until last June, for 22 years, full-time professor there of computer information systems. And I'm still teaching there, but I'm only teaching in their MFA in writing program, and I've been doing that for about 6 years now.
Now, what was the inspiration for this pictorial history of Holy Apostles College and Seminary that we're talking about tonight? And it's so beautiful.
Well, Cynthia and I discussed a book like this and having it published by a major publishing house because I've done other pictorial histories of like local towns, but this would be different, and we couldn't find a publisher that would produce something that we wanted. So then we spoke with Sebastian, and he was very flexible and worked with us closely, and we came out with this book, which I think is going to have over 400 photos, almost all of them in color.
Wow. Sebastian, of course, Sebastian Mahfoud is the owner of this radio station that we're on right now. Cynthia, what about your thoughts on that?
On the book?
Yeah.
Well, I was studying for an MFA in writing at Albertus on basically Saturday mornings, one Saturday a month, which is where I met Bob. And we talked a little bit about Catholicism because I had mentioned in class that I was pro-life. And from that, we decided to write the book. And I'm glad we did because in the 20 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of things change and develop, and I like the idea of there being a history of that going all the way back to the beginning of the college seminary. You know, you don't want to lose information like that, and it's easily lost.
You were telling me this afternoon when I was talking about the program that it was quite a job to put all these pictures together because some of them weren't even in albums or anything, right?
Most of them weren't. We found a bookcase upstairs that had a bookcase and a dresser, I believe, that had, I don't know, probably hundreds of packages of envelopes of pictures. And in the library, one of the seminarians, who's now a priest, Larry Lynn, he had been a professional photographer, and he had taken quite a few pictures, and they were on the computer in the library, so it was really a matter of hunting them down.
And the dedication to the book is interesting, and maybe we can talk about that first page where the dedication is and describe that first beautiful page, the first page.
Bob, did you want to do that? You took the picture.
Well, okay. I'll tell you a little about the background of it. There were two people who we had thought of when we thought of who could we dedicate this book to. One of them was Father Mosey, the present rector of the seminary, because he has done such a fantastic job in the last quarter century, and he was really the inspiration for a lot of this book. The other was the founder, Father Menard, the founder of the college and seminary. And just because of his role in that as the first leader, we decided to put him down. But I didn't want to put that word in that we had two people who we were considering.
Interesting. Now the picture, you took this picture, huh?
No, this picture, the colorful picture there, that was taken by, I believe, Larry Lynn, Father Larry Lynn.
Okay.
Yeah, when he was a seminarian.
Would you describe that first one for us?
I'm going to let Cynthia jump in here.
All right.
It was sculpted by one of the monks that's in the order of Father Groeschel, and it is, I believe, Catherine of Siena raising a host, a monstrance with the host in it, and it's really a beautiful statue. When you look at it, if the sun will hit it just right, and it will hit where you would have a host if it was a real monstrance.
So this is actually on the campus, huh?
Yes. There's several statues that he did, one of St. Joseph, one of St. Francis, and then this one of Catherine.
Wow. Why this one for the first one? Any particular reason?
I think, well, what it represents, and also it's just a beautiful work of art. And in two ways, both the statue itself and also Father Lynn's photograph of it. And at the very end of the book, I don't know if it's the last page of photographs includes another shot of that in a silhouette, that same statue. So I thought it would be appropriate to start the book with it and to finish the book with it.
And then you have quite a page of acknowledgments. I don't know if you want to go through all of that, but maybe there's a couple things you might want to mention there. Of course, you've already talked about Father Mosey and his support of these efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the page right now because we finished this. Yeah, we finished it. Like most publishers, they ask the authors to finish it months in advance, so they have time to go through all the steps of setup and editing. So we finished this book months ago. So I'm just refreshing my memory here.
Yeah. Well, I have the PDF. It actually hasn't been printed yet, right?
No, because we haven't done the index yet.
Okay.
And that's going to be a task in itself, but with computers, it's not that bad because we can put together a pretty good index. But anyway, here I've got the acknowledgments page, and I'm going to. This is where Cynthia really helped a lot because she knows all these people. Yeah. And she would feed me names. We would discuss them either between ourselves or with other people, and then we would decide who do we put in the book, and so we have some great people here, theologians, philosophers, historians who've worked for years at Holy Apostles, and I knew some of them already, like Father Liptak, but the others. I was really, really surprised at the profile of the faculty, and this includes Cynthia, too, obviously. The profile of the faculty nationwide and even, to some extent, international. All right? A number of the faculty have had shows on EWTN, and it was almost like talking with a celebrity when I spoke with some of these people.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you had, last but not least, recognizing the contributions of the spouses, Kathleen Hubbard and Bill Wilson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And my wife is always ready to edit my stuff. After 8 books, I'm getting better, but she always has a better handle on the mechanics of writing, and she's always finds things that are wrong.
Now, in the introduction, you talk about employing several themes as a way to organize the book.
Mm-hmm.
First, the early years of the institution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started doing it historically, at least by giving the early years of the institution in the 1950s, where there were very few students, and we were renting. I wasn't here then, but I believe they were renting rooms for the to put the people up. And then we talk about the bishops and the rectors because really they give guidance and direction and oversee everything that occurs here. So historically, we went back through all of the bishops and we went through all of the rectors, culminating with Father Mosey, of course. And then we talk really about the heart of the seminary. Obviously, it's a Catholic institution. The sacraments are of the utmost importance. And so we talk about the sacraments, we talk about the life of the students here in the seminary, the history of the seminary, and the importance of pro-life activities, which this is not just a Catholic institution, it's a really pro-life Catholic institution. You know, every year the seminarians and some of the lay students and professors go to the March for Life. And then we talk about some of the people who have visited the campus, like Father Rochelle, and the different students, faculty, key people And then at the very end, we go over some more of the things about the campus. The campus itself is beautiful. All 4 seasons, whether it's covered with snow or in the spring when everything's blossoming. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. And so we have many pictures through the 4 seasons and pictures of the students as they, as they are here on the campus during those seasons.
And I like what you said about demonstrating the joy of all who attended. The pictures that you chose demonstrate that joy.
Mm-hmm. It is a joyful place.
Yeah, and that's so true. I've taught at, in addition to Alberta's, taught at like 5 other colleges part-time, and there's a difference between Holy Apostles and any other college that I've attended or taught at. It's a special place, and that's why it was really an honor to write the book, and it was a pleasure to meet so many people up there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, when we go back to the pictures now, we have the beautiful chapel indoor picture showing all the seminarians and the students, and then a beautiful outside picture. And very, very beautiful.
Yeah, that's a picture of the chapel. The new chapel, I think it was built about 6 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Almost any picture you take of the chapel is, it has 8 sides to it. Almost any angle you take of it is a nice picture.
Isn't it? Yeah, that's true. The Sullivans did a beautiful job in building that chapel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next is the mission, our mission, with a beautiful picture of Father Mosey.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that picture, I think we took from the archives. What we did do is we used pictures that were in existence. Probably, I think it was 85% of the pictures are from the Holy Apostles archives or from key photographers, and then we filled in the gaps by taking our own pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it came out. Well. And I think one of the best things about the book is it's well organized. So it's a logical flow, and it's not hard to find what you're looking for.
I like what Father Mosey said. Our online campus is among the finest anywhere. We have been leaders in online education since 1998. Wow.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We have pioneered an interactive, up-to-date, and student-centered learning that is supported by our on-campus program, which serves a global student body, a unique advantage for our online students.
Mm-hmm.
I might mention that the Dean of Online Learning at Holy Apostles now is Cynthia.
That's what we
in addition to being a full-time professor.
Yes. Congratulations on that.
Thank
Holy
you.
Apostles is one of the few Catholic colleges in America where lay students, religious, and seminarians attend many of the same classes together, worship together, and grow intellectually and spiritually together.
Yep.
And he says we are also one of the few Catholic colleges where all members of the faculty must be approved by the bishop in order to ensure fidelity to the magisterium.
That's correct.
I like that. And in summary, Father Mosey said, our graduates are courageous in values, competent in faith, tradition, and scripture, Catholic in identity, and credentialed in academics.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yep.
Oh, the first years. There's Father Menard with Pope St. John Paul II.
Right.
And also, you have a beautiful outdoor shot of the campus with those beautiful trees and the pathways.
Mm-hmm.
And it says here that Holy Apostles College and Seminary sits upon one of the most historically significant sites in central Connecticut. Did you ever meet Father Menard, Cynthia?
No, I did not. I'm not sure of when he left here, but I had never met him. He died in 1987, according to page 11, and I converted in 1988.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting photo you have of the Holy Apostles' sign of college and seminary where it says, and shows St. James Hall, the location of the Ranney House. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
The Ranney House, yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, we put a little bit in there. We didn't do as much on the history as we had expected because we found other things that were really more deserving of pages in the book. But we put in the highlights, and one of them was that house, which was a home of a man who was very well known in the 1800s, but today has been forgotten, who actually was taken by pirates in North Africa and spent years in slavery, and then returned to the United States and wrote a book about his experiences.
Yeah.
And that book was listed by Abraham Lincoln as one of the 3 books that most influenced his life.
Wow.
And obviously, it influenced him when he was making decisions that ultimately led to the abolition of slavery. And that was right in this house, right here, and on these grounds was the family homestead of this guy.
And then you talk about in 1855, Cromwell-born teacher Ebenezer Beckwith built 2 octagonal buildings on Prospect Hill, a 3-story high house and a barn. Today they are known as Holy Apostles St. Peter's Hall and St. Andrew's Hall. Mm-hmm. Those are very prominent on the campus.
Yes.
Right. And that's unusual. In Connecticut, there's only, I did some research, there's only a handful of houses that are 8-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And it said Cromwell Hall closed in the early 1950s, and the property lay unused for several years before being acquired by Father Menard, who founded Holy Apostles, and that was in the 50s when he started Holy Apostles, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's known as the Apostle of Vocations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You have quite a story on him there.
Right.
Then you show his book, Father Menard's 1955 book. That's interesting. You have the cover, and then you show the 12 apostles that are been newly installed in the chapel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful in there. And,
Maybe.
Now, you have 3, let's see, are these all seminarians? I think so. In the 1960s?
Yes, early 1960s.
Okay. And then we show our current bishop, the Most Reverend Michael B. Cody, offering Mass in the temporary chapel before the new one was built, which was used while the new Queen of Apostles Chapel was under construction.
Yes.
And, that was a beautiful time when they started that new chapel, huh?
Oh, it sure was. The old chapel, by the time I walked from my car into the office building, and by the time I had walked, I don't know, maybe 50 feet, the wrecking ball had basically knocked down the old chapel. It was so small and so old. And then, of course, everything had been moved into the temporary chapel, which was in the gym. And, they started almost immediately building the new one.
Then we have a picture of Father Sheehan, Academic Dean, Father Michael Legault, professor of philosophy, and Father Luna, professor of canon law, talking before dinner on Father Menard Day, celebrating. That's a nice picture there.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And some old pictures of seminarians, huh?
Oh, yes.
Black and white there you had to use.
Mm-hmm.
And here's our, is this our first rector then? Mitzelfeld?
I don't think so. He was rector from the early 60s.
Yeah, from 1960 to 1968. What do you know about him?
Well, he certainly was a lover of the arts, and from what I understand, he used to have the seminarians come down. I think it was on a Sunday night, but it might have been a Saturday night, and they would listen to concerts, and he, on occasion would show a good movie. So he really built up a sense of community and among the seminarians, and he spent a lot of time making them more cultured, so that they would understand some music and some art and some movies, So he was a fine man. He actually donated an extensive part of his library to the school when he passed.
Now, there have been a few fires at Holy Apostles, and this is the first one I see. In 1960, fire damaged St. Paul's Hall, the dormitory.
Yep.
And the seminaries worked to get as many books as possible out of the library in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And the year before the fire, there were only about 30 seminarians, but many more the second year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I see Father Mitzelfeld rented rooms for the seminarians from a local woman, Mrs. Halleck.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That wasn't Father Tad's mother, though, was it?
No. She was just a woman who happened to have the same last name who lived in the neighborhood.
Okay.
There's an interesting story behind this photograph of the fire because one of the permanent brothers here was Brother Jeff Herman. He now lives in Enfield at the St. Joseph's of the Poor, Sisters of the Poor, and he saw this photograph and he recalled that they were watching the movie I'll Cry Tomorrow
that's
when the
where
fire
you got
started.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, many of the pictures in here he gave us a little bit of local history on, and because he had been here and known so much about what had happened. But apparently the fire went up the staircase in the middle of the building, and he said that the seminarians ran to try to save the books.
And then, of course,
they actually, I think they stood like if you were, passing buckets of water, only they were passing books from one to another to save them.
Mm-hmm.
St. Philip's dormitory then replaced St. Paul's Hall, and that's your main dormitory today, right?
Yes, it is.
That's quite a step up those stairs, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah.
It's also a surprise for a lot of the students who come from locations that where they've never seen snow before.
Yeah.
And I spoke with some, and they described their experiences, with snowballs and playing in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a section on the MSA, the Society of the Missionaries of the Holy Apostles, of course, which is recognized as the Clerical Society of Apostolic Life. And, of course, that was started by Father Menard also, before he started the seminary. And a little bit of a history there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go to the bishops. And the board of directors of Holy Apostles College and Seminary now includes the Archbishop of Hartford, the Bishop of Bridgeport, and the Bishop of Norwich, who's its ex officio chairman.
Yep.
And the current holders of these positions are the Reverend Michael R. Cody, as we mentioned, Bishop of Norwich, the Most Reverend Leonard P. Blair, Archbishop of Hartford, and the Most Reverend Frank J. Caggiano, Bishop of Bridgeport. And I'm assuming you've met all of them, huh?
I have not personally met them, no.
Okay. Well, the bishop at Bridgeport is fairly new.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have some beautiful pictures of the bishops.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got Archbishop John Whalen,
Mm-hmm.
who received an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degree from Holy Apostles College and Seminary. As Bishop of Norwich, Daniel Patrick Riley looks on. Any thoughts on those bishops?
Well, I can tell you, I only met Archbishop Whalen once, and it was when I was teaching catechism at St. Martha's in Enfield, Connecticut, and he came in one Sunday morning and went into every classroom and thanked the teachers for teaching the children. So he was certainly a man who really cared for people and was very friendly.
And one other thing, he was a scholar. If I remember correctly, he was in charge of the editing of the New Catholic Encyclopedia.
Oh. Wow. And it says here that Archbishop Whalen attended every session of the Second Vatican Council.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there aren't too many of the bishops left. Actually, there aren't too many participants of that council left alive.
That's true.
Right.
And then there's a procession there with that picture, and it also shows Most Reverend Daniel Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see our first pictures of some of our Vietnamese students with the Most Reverend Michael D. Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Bishop Cody was born in Sanford, Maine, of French descent, and studied theology at the North American College in Rome and canon law at the Catholic University of America. And after serving as auxiliary bishop of the Diocese of Portland, Maine for almost 8 years, he was appointed the 5th bishop of Norwich, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And now it shows him with some pictures of the nuns from Vietnam.
They're actually from the Philippines.
Oh, those nuns with him there?
Yes, on the bottom picture.
Right. But a lot of the students are from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. But these sisters working here.
Now we have the rectors.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying about Father Metzenfeld. He was the third one. Apparently the first one was Reverend Theophile Charland from 1957 to 58. Were you around then, Bob?
I was around, but I was like 9 years old.
Oh, okay. All right. And then the very Reverend Garnier M. de Benz, 1958 to 1960. And then comes Reverend Father Bishop Metzelfeld in 1960 through 68.
Yep.
Right, he was the first one who served more than just 2 years.
Yeah, there you are. And then, of course, we've all heard of Rector Leo Ovian, Father Leo Ovian. Did you know him?
Yes, I did.
You knew him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was very nice.
Okay,
I met him
about him
after he had stopped being rector.
Okay. Oh, that's when you knew him then.
Yes, after.
Uh-huh. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Very nice man. I didn't know him well. I only met him a couple of times. Very friendly, interested in what was going on at the college. We gave him an honorary doctorate 1 year, and he was very appreciative.
And then the very Reverend Francis J. Lesko, he had 2 terms, 1986 through 1988 and 1990 through 1993.
Yes.
Maybe you want to go ahead and select some other pictures here that Bob or Cynthia.
Yeah, so I'm looking for the library.
They're all numbered. I'm on 25 right now.
Okay. Well, here on page 25 we have Father Ronald Lawler. I was one of his students here right after I had converted, and he was an excellent moral theologian. Wrote a couple of books on moral theology, particularly bioethics. He was very good. Yeah.
It says here he wrote a Catholic Catechism for Adults with Bishop Donald Wuerl of Pittsburgh. Of course, now a Cardinal and Archbishop of Washington. That's interesting.
Right, right. And on page 27, of course, we have Father Mosey, and the men in the picture beneath, the bottom picture with Father Mosey, those are all were all MSAs. Father Kusser, who's on the left, is now the academic dean on campus.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him in that picture. And Robert Burke.
Oh, yes. He's passed now.
And Father Richard Gray, also from the MSA.
Yep. All 3 of them were my students.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Page 28, where do you want to go?
How about 29? These are some of our Vietnamese students, and in the bottom, Father Nick Tran right now is studying for another degree here. He's in the bottom picture in the middle. So that happens a lot. We have a lot of students who finish one degree, and maybe they're gone for a while, but then they come back. And then on page 30, I think this is just a wonderful picture on the bottom of the Vietnamese community in the Queen of the Holy Apostles Chapel.
Oh, yes. Very nice inside the chapel and the, in the sanctuary.
31 is interesting because it does point to something else that we're known for here, and that is our diversity, which is not only by nationality like the Vietnamese, but we also had, he's in the bottom picture, Brother Raphael. He was a hermit in the Hermits of Bethlehem in Chester, New Jersey. So we have, in the top picture, we have all the seminarians from the Santa Fe Diocese. We have a man from Vietnam in the middle picture. And in the bottom picture, we have a hermit. So we have many, many different states of life and different vocations here. And it really, I would say that the seminary college really is a small version of the Universal Church.
That's interesting. And then we have Father Kolinsky, and you can tell about the exceptional Mass. Yep,
he is Cantrus, St. John Cantrus in Chicago, where he now resides. He was excellent liturgy and practicum teacher, and almost every day during the week he would offer the extraordinary form at noon. No, I'm sorry. He offered it at 9.
Oh, 9, yeah.
Yeah. Father Fluitt now offers it at noon on Sunday.
Yes. And then we do have that painting of the 12 apostles that I talked about earlier. That's brand new, and that's quite an addition there.
Right over the altar. It's beautiful. Let's see.
There's Bishop Cody again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we went out of our way to make sure we had a photograph of every bishop of the last 60-some years for all three dioceses. But what we did do is we looked at the photos that we did have in file, and we chose ones that would represent certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's not really a book about people so much as the institution and its people.
Mm-hmm.
How many pages in this book?
It's going to end up around 250.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a really good thick card stock, okay, that really large color photos like this deserve. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be very much, if anyone has purchased Father Skip Thompson's book on Jerusalem, this is going to be very much like that, except it has many more pages.
Yes, isn't that a wonderful job that he did, huh?
Right. And I keep that on the coffee table because it's such a great book. If you have a few moments to just flip through it, and I've never been to Israel, so it's something that really is a good substitute for having been there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I skipped over to page 39, where is the program of priestly formation, human, spiritual, and pastoral formation. And of course, that's one of the things that is so outstanding at Holy Apostles.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about that? There's a picture of a lot of the Vietnamese students.
Yes, I think they're all Vietnamese except for Father Mosey. And then we have a large contingent of sisters here, Vietnamese sisters.
Yes.
They add so much to the place. They're friendly, lovely women. They work really, really hard to understand the theology. They're just a wonderful addition to the place.
What else? What are some of the outstanding ones now that we haven't looked at as you think ahead for the over 200 pages?
Let's see. If you look at some of the students that have been highlighted, Barry Braum on page 40. He's a fantastic person. He came from South Africa and joined an order in France. He went to France to join the order,
I've seen him
and they
before,
sent him here.
Mm-hmm.
So just global.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was from.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and let's see, we have Deacon Gisharu on 44. I'm trying to remember where he came from. I think it might have been Ghana. Am I correct, Bob?
I think so.
I'm not
sure. Refresh my memory.
Mm-hmm.
See, Bob, if you asked us this 5 months ago, all these would be. Yeah, it would be. It's a tip of our tongues. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting to point this out. This is so well done, and it's too bad we can't show the pictures here. But this book is going to be available, like Sebastian was saying. It'll be available at Holy Apostles. It'll be available at graduation. That'll be a good time to see it, and it is going to. I think it's going to be well sought after.
We hope. If you turn to page 50 for our pro-life activities, we have the tomb of the aborted child here, 10-week-old boy that we've named Adam.
Well, before that, page 48, it shows the seminarians praying the rosary before the
abortion mill.
Abortion mill in Hartford. And then go to 49.
Yep, those each one of those crosses that are in the field in front of the seminary represents 1 million abortions, legal abortions.
Wow.
So now, of course, this was in 2016 that the photo was taken, Now there are, of course, many more. And then on 50 we have the tomb. And
yes.
I have to admit that I'm going to brag a little bit here, because on page 51, that quilt, the pro-life quilt that the student signed, I made that.
I'm going to throw something in here, okay? Cynthia is a very, very humble person. All right? I've learned that in the last 2 years. However, she is extremely proud of her ability regarding quilting.
Oh, I love a quilt.
Yeah, I guess so. It is beautiful.
Yep, I quilt, and my husband designs each quilt that I make.
Oh, okay. What we're talking about is the tomb of Adam on the Cromwell campus. It is the gravesite of a fully formed male baby who was aborted. Holy Apostles is one of only 50 locations in the United States with a tomb for the unborn, and the only one in Connecticut. The baby, buried on October 27th, 2002, was named Adam because Adam was the first person created by God, as recorded in Genesis. He is the father of the human race. Each year, the second Saturday in September is the day of remembrance at the gravesite.
I might mention, when I was researching the book, I found a website that listed many, many monuments to the unborn that are found on church grounds, in seminaries, cemeteries, and I would recommend that to anyone who is going to be visiting some other state, especially, that they look at that first and maybe pay a visit to one or two of them and say a prayer.
Yes. You often see people praying at the tomb. It's not unusual.
Yes, that's true. Do you remember the Father Pavone's visit to Holy Apostles?
Oh, yes.
That was in the old chapel, I believe.
I think it was.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think he had his parents with him that night.
Ooh, that I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I think it was at Easter. But that was quite an occasion. He gave a tremendous talk.
Yes.
You have a nice picture of him here.
And that's one of the things I think that spices up this book, are the celebrities that have come to Holy Apostles to speak or just to visit. And we came across photographs of quite a number, and we used as many as we could in the book.
Well, it's like you said, it's a good thing you did the book, because these we would never have had these pictures. They probably wouldn't have been saved.
Right.
Right.
You know?
Or explained. So many of them we have an explanation from, because we've talked to some of the people who knew what was going on at the time.
Right. I might throw in something else, and that is this book, as far to the best of my knowledge, there's never been a seminary in the United States that has produced a book of this nature. Right? There are books of almost pure text, or quite a few black and white photos that are small, but I did not run across a full-color, extensive pictorial history of a Catholic seminary in the United States. And I did a lot of research.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I think you mentioned earlier in the book about, you said there is some more written material at the end of the book. You said you got a lot of things from Brother Jeff?
Yeah, we got a lot of information from him about photos. We got a lot of information on the history, names of people, where we'd have an interesting photograph, and he'd not only give us the names, but he'd give us the information about the photo. Of course, he was here for right here on campus. I believe it was for almost 60 years. It could have been a little less, but he was here for many, many, many years, and so he had a wealth of information.
You have quite a section here on the March for Life in Washington, D.C. with people from Holy Apostles participating. And I see one that I hadn't seen for a long time was Father Jasper. You remember Father Jasper?
Oh, yes, yes.
Did you ever see his twin brother?
No, I never did.
Well, he came for, I think it was graduation. Twin brother, he's a spitting image of him. I mean, he's exactly like him. And he was coming down the street, and I said, "Hey, hi, Jasper, how are you?" It was his brother.
Oh, boy.
I think you can be excused for that mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there he is again, Father Jasper, and of course a number of nice pictures of Father Skip.
Yes.
Father Skip Thompson.
And I think, and there's at least one picture here of Father Mosey at the march, and I think he usually goes down with the contingent from Holy Apostles.
Yep, it's on page 61.
Okay. All right, page 61. Yeah, there he is. Yeah,
he went this year too.
His hat on, his warm hat on. Whatever.
This whole chapter is a good example of an institution that practices what it preaches.
Yeah.
In its courses, it adheres to the pro-life ethic, and in its actions, its social actions, pro-life activities, it carries them into it carries them out.
Yeah. Even the staff, if you look at page 63, there's a picture of Carol Gignac from the Mass Association and Deborah Johnson, who's our financial aid officer. You know, so it's not just the professors and seminarians, it's the staff, you know.
So there's Carol. And I was just looking at some of the visitors here that have, you have some nice pictures of some of these visitors.
Oh, yeah.
Beatitude Patriarch Gregory III Layham from the Greek Melkite Catholic Church.
Yep. He was here in 2002 in the summer.
You remember that?
Oh, I sure do. There were many of the I guess we'd say clerics of the Melkite Catholic Church came, and we had beautiful ceremony. And then on the bottom of page 69, where you see the patriarch, we have Victor Shaker, who was one of our seminarians. He came from Egypt, and he eventually became a priest, and just recently retired.
Is that Father Victor? That was
yes, it is.
Coventry.
Yep.
Okay, I thought I recognized him.
Oh, yeah.
And Bishop, I don't know how to say it exactly, Van Dat from Vietnam was here.
Yes.
Father Joseph Ba, or B.A.
Yep. So we've had quite a few extraordinary guests.
Yes. I think we're, we have about 5 more minutes, I would say here. So this has been, it's been a work of love, huh?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And for those people that are thinking of obtaining the book, I might mention we've only gone through 20% of it. There's a lot more. There's, including interviews with men who either are seminarians today or have been seminarians within the past few years and have been ordained since. And I interviewed them extensively because I wanted to give the readers of this book an idea of what it's like to actually go for their education at Holy Apostles, and what the men who have entered the priesthood from here, what they think about it. So I have quotations, and they explain it far better than I think we could.
I agree.
Was Cardinal Burke here?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
And Archbishop Sheehan from Santa Fe.
Mm-hmm.
First Bishop of Lubbock, Texas, Michael Sheehan.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Herbeck, I remember when he was here, from Detroit. And Rachel foundress, Vicki Thorne. Wow.
Yeah, when we ran across some of these photos, it was like coming across a gold nugget, where immediately we said, that would fit perfectly in Chapter 7. And then we organized it, and we did some research and wrote a caption, whatever, and it was fun. It was fun to do that, and especially since we're doing something that's going to be worthwhile, and it'll help the church. It'll help people of this country.
I think that's true. Yes.
Wow, I've just seen a story about Father Jasper, who had been a fireman, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he became a priest, and he saved a bunch of people just back in 2014 in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, the story's there.
Nice story on Father Glenn Breed.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Jones.
Yeah.
And these people, these guys have had usually some very extensive careers. Father Glenn Breed was a geophysicist for about 40 years.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And Glenn Jones was some kind of engineer. I can't remember. I'm thinking petroleum, but I'm not sure. So many of these people had fantastic careers.
Absolutely. And scientific. A lot of them had careers in science and engineering and math.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nice to see that picture of Father Tremblay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him for a long time.
Right.
Very nice picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. He was very, very quick to give us whatever we needed. Sometimes we had to wait a long time for certain photos that we requested, but he supplied us with a great selection of material, not just of himself, but of fellow seminarians in the campus and in his parish today.
Mm-hmm. I just came across another picture of Father Leonard Duchereau, and it turns out he came from Kenya, not Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
He was a seminarian for Kansas City.
Well, it's been very interesting, and it's good to know about this beautiful book that's going to be available, and it's going to be printed shortly, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And will be available, so we'll keep you posted on that. And it'll, like Sebastian said, Dr. Sebastian said that he is going to make it available at graduation and things like that. So it'll be something else. So thank you, Dr. Cynthia and Dr. Bob Hubbard, Dr. Cynthia Toolin-Wilson and Dr. Bob Hubbard. Thank you for sharing with us this beautiful pictorial book that you've authored on the history of Holy Apostles Seminary and College. And we'll be back with the same program next week, same time, same station, with different guests on WCAT Radio. And in the meantime, may God bless each and every one of you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.